Okay, April 2nd, 2008. A plethora of stuff going on inside my head and going on in the world. Anyway, the other night I went to see the movie 21 with my son. I really enjoyed the movie. Brought back a flood of memories, and I kind of woke up dreaming and thinking about my Harvard experience after I saw that movie. I realized, the star was at MIT, and then he was applying to get into Harvard Medical School. Granted, I didn't get into Harvard College undergrad, and I wasn't in MIT, but I was, as you folks know, at Harvard Business School, which had its own level of intensity. So I started thinking about that, and I remember my first year finance class. I had a professor, his name was David Mearshwam, and as I watched that scene where the professor asked the student a question, kind of looked up there. I was in what's called the sky deck, which is the back row at Harvard Business School. We called it I was a skydecker. I remember David Mearshwam walked up the steps a little bit, and it was the day after the market had crashed 508 points in 1987, and he said, why didn't the system collapse? What happened? And everybody frankly drew a blank. Nobody dared answer. David Mearshwam was pretty intimidating, and plus we were newbies in our finance class at Harvard Business School. And I remember raising my hand, and he looked at me. He looked up and he said, "Okay, Mr. Long, tell me." And I said, "The Fed liquefied the system." Some of the students looked at me. Not everybody totally knew me back then, but they knew I was a little bit unorthodox. And Mearshwam made some commentary on it, but I think he liked my answer, and he didn't crucify me, which he does if you don't answer it correctly. But so that's how far back my, I guess, love and I don't know, my feeling for the financial markets goes, and my, as I said in my last video, my interdisciplinary approach towards it. Liquefied the system, meaning that a lot of people got margin calls on that morning, and if they couldn't honor them, and so the Fed sent out a missive, not a missive, but sent out a notice to everybody that couldn't meet their margin calls through the brokerage houses that they didn't have to meet their margin calls. So we didn't have a meltdown in 1987. As all of you know, that the Fed has intervened, otherwise we would have had several meltdowns in the last few months, and the latest being Bear Stearns about a couple weeks ago. So I was thinking about that. And frankly, counting cards on blackjack is relatively simple and probably easy compared to figuring out what's going on with the financial system, the Constitution, food, gas, oil, and putting it all together, especially with a tremendous amount of misinformation that's out there. For instance, the rally the other day, 400 points, people were thinking it could hit the bottom, and then today, Helicopter Van talks about recession. So it's easy to kind of get caught in the emotions for a lot of people, and it's kind of exciting saying, hey, boom, 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 things might go. But bottom line is the whole U.S. collapse scenario is still 100% intact. I was watching George Soros a little bit, interviewed by Maria on CNBC. Interesting that he says we're halfway through it, but it's going to be a full economic collapse. It reminded me when I get out of class, I remember when I started Harvard, I had a BMW 733, and I loved driving that car, and I was driving it back to my home in Belmont. And all this stuff we'll check out if you want to check out David Mearshwam or whatever. And this was kind of interesting and kind of heavy. But on the back of my BMW, I had abolish the Federal Reserve, abolish the Fed. And I was going down Stroh Drive, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and I saw one of my professors. This was later. I think it was my second year, yeah. Jay Light, one of my capital markets professors, right behind me with kind of a grin and a chuckle on his face. And he saw my abolish the Fed Fed bumper sticker, and so I saw him a few days later, and he kind of chuckled and said, "Hey, I noticed your sticker." Very nice man, very smart, and I received a Category 1, which is a top grade at Harvard Business School in capital markets, from Jay Light, and we had a couple other people, Scott Mason and another guy, because we had 3 professors for some reason that I won't go into on that capital markets course. But Jay Light, I'm looking, he's the acting dean of the Harvard Business School right now. Very interesting how life turns out. So anyway, that movie was brought back a lot of memories for me, because the classrooms are set up, seems like the same way at MIT as they are at Harvard. Okay, had to communicate that. As far as the market's recovering, it's a sucker's rally, obviously, and I'm not going to call every technical move here and there because I'm not a technician. I'm into the fundamental truths. Truth is stranger than fiction. So, let's go over here. I really highly recommend that everybody out there, I don't care if you're atheist or agnostic or whatever religious persuasion you might be, grab Isaiah, I prefer the King James Version, and just read the first 3 verses. Because Isaiah is a prophet that sees our day. And I know you guys say, Brent, just talk about finance. You're right on gold and oil and stuff like that. Talk about finance. Well, that's not my calling. That's not my mission. Finance and what's going on in the world of the capital markets is a symptom of the corruption, of the rottenness of our society, of our Western society. We are not a righteous society anymore. We have not kept faith with the founding fathers. Totally interesting to watch Ron Paul today. Some people, I noticed they're commenting on my latest video that maybe Ron Paul gave up. He didn't give up. He just, the truth, they're not going to put him in the White House. People are not, the majority of people do not believe and are not going to vote for constitutional principles. That's why, like in the DVD I have, that I put out and a lot of you have ordered, I talk about it a couple videos ago. In that DVD, I go over the vision of George Washington, where he sees the end of our nation, the collapse of our nation. And it gets pretty brutal, but he actually sees, George Washington himself, envision the invasion of our country. You gotta know about that vision, George Washington's vision. It's just extremely powerful. So, Bible, capital markets, Harvard. I'd go see the movie 21. It's pretty entertaining. I really liked it. Gold jumped back up a little bit, and I need to formulate my predictions or what's going to happen by the end of 2008. There's still, for sure, we're entering a depression. If Helicopter Ben's a year behind in his thinking or doesn't want to show his hand, whatever. I don't necessarily think, like some of the Congress people think, that Ben Bernanke is necessarily Mr. Financial Genius. I know he's in charge of the Fed, and he has a deep understanding of I'll call them Babylonian financial markets, but if you don't understand what God's plan is, the plan for his son to come down to earth and all those kind of things, you're pretty clueless. Okay? You're pretty clueless. The intelligent thing, in my opinion, which obviously is very strong, is to integrate financial knowledge, spiritual knowledge, etc., etc. I was just looking, and then I better finish up here while I still got some sunlight and other things. I was looking at CNN, money, and it talks about, let me see if I can bring, oh yeah. It talks about, okay, maybe recession, Wall Street's using the R word, Bernanke sees recession risk. I mean, my friends on YouTube, we have to just keep from laughing. Sees recession risk? Talk to the truckers, go to the store, fill up your gas tank, look at other people, go, look at, on also my DVD, I drive through the streets of Stockton and just show the foreclosure after foreclosure after foreclosure. Okay? I know I'm exercised about this. It's been a long day. I need to get some things done and head off to the gym, but I needed to do this update. The U.S. economic collapse is intact, and I will do an update with predictions sometime in the next, 30 days or so. God bless. Thank you so much for helping me hit 500,000 views. I'm really grateful. Probably hit 1 million views, and I will endeavor to continue teaching the truth. God bless you all, and thanks for watching. Ciao.